Today is Monday, so welcome back to Monday HR Madness. I'm Ian Hopfy. Let's I'm your friendly neighborhood HR pro, and yes, the Earl Grey is hot. I just got it. It's steamy hot. Can burn my face off. It's strong, and judging you for not having an employee handbook yet. Duh. Last week we tackled AI, handbooks, and all the chaos in between. Today we're taking it even further. I'm going to show you how to train AI to think like your company, how to build a fast, clean handbook without losing your sanity, plus the 5 most common HR mistakes some businesses make, and how to fix them before they explode. Yeah, if you want fewer headaches, less drama, and a workplace that doesn't fall apart on Mondays, stay with me. Let's get into it. The tea. It's still hot. I want some tea. It's still too hot. So we basically have 2 topics kind of continuing from last week. Number 1 is AI and HR. This is the part 3 for this topic. And number 2, employee handbooks made easy. This is also a part 2 because we talked about it already. And I got a couple of new topics coming up. The 5 most common small business HR mistakes. And I'm going to talk about topic number 4, if we got time, micro-toxicity. The small behaviors that slowly wreck culture. So let's get through these. I keep scrolling funny on my show notes that are just off the side of the screen. Oh God, I'm hot, but I'm cold. I'm yawning, but I'm not tired, honest. Okay, I haven't got the tea in me yet, so maybe I'm tired. So, if you have any questions, ask your questions in the comment and I'll try to get to them. So, HR questions, Indigenous relations questions, small business marketing questions, what else? Job hunt questions, your resume questions, and we'll keep the fun and games for Friday. But any of the serious topics, please ask me. Give us a chance to talk about something interesting, not just me rambling for a couple hours. I mean, some people like that, I'm sure, right? If you need to get a hold of me for any reason, you should go to my link tree. All my links are here. This is the same QR code that's up in the top corner of this screen. Takes you to all my links, so you can get my $7 ebook to help you end staff drama in 5 days. Or if you want to book a meeting with me so we can have a more serious conversation, if you need a lot more HR help, we can book a call for that. Or if you want to be on the show, you want to feature your business on the show, we can talk about your business. I mean, we could probably accommodate any type of business, as long as we're kind of talking about the topic of the day. So Monday is HR, Tuesday is Indigenous relations or allyship, Wednesday is marketing, Thursday is career club. So Thursday might be good for a recruitment company or something like that, and we'll talk about how you recruit people. And Friday, I mean, fun and games Friday. You could come on your game store or something like that. Absolutely, come on the show on Fridays. Still too hot. Tea is still too hot. Anyway, now the topic 1 has disappeared. I'm just rereading my notes, make sure I'm not repeating something. So there, as we get into AI and it gets better and better, ChatGPT I use right now is the 5.1. I have the paid version. It knows me. It knows my business. It knows all the things I'm trying to do. And I could, at this point, I could go into a new chat and say, hey, create this document for my business. And it would probably do it because it knows me. Now, you've got to train your AI to know you. You can't just type in, hey, I want this, right? It's always better to get that training into it. I feel like the music's just a little bit loud. I'll turn it down a little bit. So what do you do to train your AI? Any documents about your business you've already created, you need to put it into AI. So you go to ChatGPT and say, I want to build a profile for my business so that you can better help me. Here is a list of documents I'm attaching, right? So you attach your vision, mission, what's the word I'm looking for? Right, those vision, mission statements, your traits. Why can't I think of the word? The traits, the oh my God, values. That's it. Your values of your organization, and maybe some marketing stuff you've already put in, that you've tried to create for your business and things like that, right? A list of your services and even what's in each of your services. I do XYZ, and this is what you get for that service, right? So you basically, all the stuff that would be on your about page for your business website, just copy and paste that into ChatGPT. Here's my vision, my mission, my values, right? And maybe you're putting some info about yourself. This is me, this is my history, this is my resume. You need your business to know who you are. Now, something I've really found is really neat is that I have taken the transcripts from these lives and I've added them to ChatGPT. And I'm using it to help me create show notes for the next show. So I've got a different theme each day of the week, and I show it last week's show notes, or last week's transcript. So when I post everything to YouTube, it takes a couple days. Takes a couple days to a couple hours for it to auto-generate the transcript for you. So if you did one show last week on one theme, oh my God, I can't stop yawning, I'm sorry. So whatever your last live was, or even your last video you've created, if you're creating content, or every post you did this past week on whatever social medias or whatever, you're putting the transcript in there. And once YouTube creates the transcript, you go into edit captions. And then when you're in there, there's all the words. It's translated into English from the video. And now you just copy and paste that whole thing and you put that into ChatGPT the interesting thing about when I've got this really, what am I looking for? It's not professional. It's not polished. It is really more me, rough, unpolished, right? I got my silly jokes mixed in. I got the way I speak and everything. As soon as I put that into ChatGPT, it started acting differently towards me because it now knows how I speak, what I speak about is very cool. Very, very cool. It was such a night and day because it was acting very professional. And then after it read a couple of the transcripts of my shows, my live shows, it started joking with me. It was giving me different suggestions and things like that. And I got scared because sometimes your AI is super positive and it says you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. Here's some things to improve. Sometimes you have to remind your chat GPT, your AI, to be honest. If it thinks I've missed something, I've told it now to let me know if I'm missing something, if there's some data on the topic that I'm missing, right? I told it, you should correct me and let me know. That's still hot. Ow. So, what you also want to do after you feed all this stuff in about your business, you could tell it, can you please do a deep dive into my industry and tell me what the trends are, or tell me if I've missed something that's happening in my industry. You're giving it as much information as you can, and you're getting it to do additional research, and it'll research on the internet. I really need something down my throat. Something stuck in the back of my throat. I apologize. But training your AI, I think, is so important. You could just train it in your HR policies, or you could train it in all your policies organization-wide, right? You could even put in your safety policies, whatever, and have it train and say, I'm creating a new policy on XYZ. Can you please make me a 2-paragraph policy that would fit into my current policy book, which you've already read? So it'll create the policy for you. And if you've directed it to say, to correct you if there's something it feels you're missing out, then it'll say something like, oh, if you're going to do this policy, you should also do this policy, right? Sorry, guys. Just choking on the boogers, and I'm trying to talk. No good. Your AI will become your assistant on creating drafts for your organization, maybe helping you identify future issues, so you're ready for a certain crisis in your industry or whatever, right? You can just start feeding this information into it, feeding industry statistics for your industry. If you can get into Statistics Canada and try to download that data. Sometimes it's a little different. You kind of got to become an expert with the Statistics Canada website to get the data that you really want. But if you can get that data for your industry and plug this in. And like, am I on track, ChatGPT? Am I doing the business the way it should be done? Am I missing anything? Like, you stop being a sole owner, operator, to having an AI teammate with you. And there's just so many things that it's able to discover and point out to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Right? So, there's just so much stuff. Like I said, I'd spoken about taking all my blogs. I used a special app on my website. I use WordPress on my website. So I downloaded a special app, and it allowed me to download all my blogs into one PDF document. I've been kind of busy lately, but I want to feed that into ChatGPT to help me think of new ideas. But it's my content. I've written this stuff, these 51 blogs that comes to 308 pages worth of data. This is my content. I've written it. So now I can use it to, I don't know, create a new small ebook that I can give away or sell or something, right? I've already done the work. This is my stuff. I could feed it in and say, ChatGPT, can you research the HR consulting industry or the HR industry? Are there any topics that are really important that I haven't written about yet? Right? And it's got all my blogs. It's got all my transcripts from my most recent lives and stuff like that. Like, so it could find the next big topic for me, which I could talk about in a live. It would create some shorts for it. I could actually make a long form video that's like 8 to 10 minutes long. And then I could also just turn that into a blog post, and the blog post would link to the video. I mean, so oh God, I should almost stop today's show. Anyway, if you're not doing something to try to make your business easier for you, if you're trying to set up a new business or whatnot, oh my God, there's just so many documents and policies that you could throw into something and say, create me this. And then you take that draft and you go get it approved by your team. Like, things can be fast. I love the comparison. If you have two policies or two documents that are meant to work together in synergy or whatever you want to call it, you put them both into ChatGPT and you say, can you compare these two documents? Are they working together? Is there any areas where they work against each other? Where is there anything that needs to get fixed? Or is there any way to make each of these documents even better? Right? Like, put that in there. You'll see this compare and contrast come up, and then it'll say, look, these are the issues that they match up on, but these are the issues that they're disagreeing each other with. So you might have a document that's already a policy document, it's already approved. You have to make sure that this new one you're creating doesn't counteract the approved one, right? You want to make sure they work together. Oh my God. Nose problems. Oh. I did a cool thing as part of training my AI last week. I call my AI Bite. Decided my AI needs a name, and it gave me a list of names that I might be interested based on our interactions, right? So I call it Bite. My ChatGPT is now called Bite. And this is kind of a homage to my early career as a computer technician and website designer, stuff like that, right? And my interest in technology and things like that, and my love of the movie Hackers, right? So it kind of all comes in there. But I asked ChatGPT, do you know the Hackers Manifesto? And it's kind of made famous from the Hackers movie because they were talking about it, and they read a little bit about it. The cops were like mocking the hackers and things like that, right? And it said yes. I can't repeat it verbatim because it is copywritten, but here's the highlights. And I told it, when it's concerning my business and anything I do in HR, I want the spirit of the Hacker Manifesto integrated into everything you give me, so that sense of community and curiosity and sharing, I mean, that from the Hacker Manifesto is now embedded in my use of ChatGPT moving forward. And I think that's just so wicked cool. Oh man, find your favorite thing, what makes you feel good about your business or what you're doing, kind of harnesses the spirit of who you are and how you operate in the world, right? Find that cool document, that poem, I don't care what it is, right? Put it in there and tell ChatGPT, hey, this is me, this is my underlying base soul, everything, like this is where it should come from, right? I think you'll see some interesting results. So let's move on. Employee handbook made easy. This is part 2. So last week I'd created a demo draft policy manual for my friend's pet store. So you can take any industry and say, I mean, you train your AI first. The first step you spend all that time training your AI. God, I'm getting hot here now. I'm gonna take my sweater off. So you train your AI first, and then you do this step, right? You want to create that employee handbook, and you've already got the spirit of who you are and how you operate your business and all your current policies and documents, and you're like, I need a handbook. I've got a team of 5. I need some sort of basic handbook, right? You do just that. I see people all the time, they just talk into their AI on their phone and ask a question, ramble for 20 minutes, and then click go, and the AI chews on it and comes up with something, right? So you got all that stuff. It knows you, and then you say, I need a policy handbook. It's going to spit out this draft. And then you're going to say, that's too long, that's too short, that's too detailed, that's, remove this section, add this section, whatever, right? You're gonna make these edits, and it's gonna work through making you a second draft. And then you're also gonna say stuff like, please make sure this aligns with the local legislation here in Edmonton or the province of Alberta. I actually took a PDF copy of the Alberta labor standards and threw it in there and said, please make sure this version we're building aligns with all of these province of Alberta labor standards. The one I was creating, it came back because it accidentally used some US laws, and that's not how we do it here in Alberta or Canada. So it was really neat, and it was like, oh, well, yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of stuff we need to take out because it doesn't count for your area. Yeah. Right? So this employee handbook, you can go from absolutely nothing to 20 plus pages in half an hour, right? Oh, here's my bear claw back scratcher. I gotta scratch. Oh my god. Oh, that's the best back scratcher ever. I mean, if you're up for purchasing this back scratcher, but with a better handle, there's 4 of them here. Bear claw back scratcher. Look at this thing. Deadly back scratcher. That's the stuff. Better than your grandparents' wooden back scratcher. Go buy that. Just a little interlude there while I talk about my stuff, right? Employee handbooks, certain policies, they're so easy to create now, right? It's just ridiculously easy to get that first draft. And a lot of times policies are written in such near legalese language, right? Like, it's very difficult to understand. Don't forget to say, please rewrite this so a person with 5th grade reading comprehension can read it, right? Like, and it will make it easier to read. Some policies can be a real barrier to entry for some employees, because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to hire them on, and here's the policy handbook. They have to read through this handbook and know it before they start or whatever, and they don't read it. Most people aren't going to read the employee handbook, especially because it's hard to read. It's a hard document. It's not a whole lot of fun in an employee handbook. So why not tell ChatGPT, please make this employee handbook fun? I don't know, there could be a little 2-question quiz at the end of each section, or a word search at the end of the policy or whatever, right? Why do policies, especially the policy handbook, the employee handbook, have to be so freaking boring? I mean, that's good stuff, man. You don't have to be alone. You have tools now to help you. We are moving into a new age. I had recently watched a video, actually last night, and it talked about how modern society has basically been changing. Every 80 years we go through this big change. So the last change was just after World War II. New technologies. We think about, basically Europe is rebuilding itself, but the United States goes hardcore with roads and more rail, and it really changed the economy of the world. And you go back another 80 years, this was right after the US Civil War, and again, things changed. Like, it was a change in economic systems. It was the end of slavery as the primary economic system. And then we go back another 80 years in the US. This was marked by the War of Independence. Again, it was that change in economics and the change in how the US wanted to do things. It was right after that they started shooting railroads right into Indian country and expanded the country, right? They wanted that ability to just go full bore. And that's what happened by them breaking away from the British Empire at that point. But we look at right now, it's now been 80 years since the end of World War II, when the world changed. Now, what's going on in the world right now? AI, solar tech, and what's the other thing? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, so we're thinking of AI. AI is here to stay. If you're some denier and you don't want to use it, you're going to get left behind. That's the truth. With AI, you can integrate it into any business, even if you're just asking it, hey, how should I market my business? Right? Like, it could be just simple questions like that. You need to be embracing it. But there could be other ways AI is integrated into your business. But you don't know until you ask AI and find out and start learning, right? AI is the culmination of our computer technology, right? After World War II, World War II was the start of the computer age, because Alan Turing in Great Britain created his Turing machine to crack the Enigma code, right? That the Germans were using, the Enigma machine. And that was a computer, right? It was a bunch of physical dials and things like that, but it was a computer. It was the start of the computer age. And now all that stuff, big computers, mainframes, aka dinosaurs, workstations, home computers, laptops, cell phones, massive data centers, the cloud, right? The speed of the technology doubling every 18 months. Was that Moore's Law? I think it's called. All this is leading up to AI. We now have AI that has become extremely useful, and it's only going to get better. And if you're not embracing AI over the next 25 years, you're missing out, right? 2025 to 2050, AI is going to reign supreme. It is the culmination of all our computer technology, right? We're there. This is a turning point. We're so advanced now. The wonders are going to start, essentially. That's what I'm going to say. We can't predict exactly what it's going to be, but we have that significant power now, that computing power. Why is there someone phoning me? Seems like anytime. I think the fraudsters and scammers and stuff, they like to phone people at lunchtime. So that's why I get these strange calls at lunchtime. But, so that's AI. Well, what's the second thing? I said solar tech. So, solar is 100% technology. Once you build the solar panel, it no longer needs any input except the sun, right? Whereas when we built a combustion engine, we always had to put our fuel. That's why we go purchase our gas every day for our car, right? Or weekly for our car, right? It needed that commodity, that oil, that gasoline. It needed the commodity to keep it going. So it was commodity dependent technology. Solar, once it's built, it's no longer dependent on the commodity. Yes, you have to build it first, and it takes commodities and resources to build it. But once it's operational, it just goes till its end of life, right? Like 50 years or something like that. So it's not dependent on a commodity. When we think about coal, we started off with coal fireplaces to heat our home, replacing the wood fireplaces that we had in our homes, right? They were all dependent, wood, coal, and we have, what is going on? Is this noise from my video? I hear some weird squeaking noises. Anyway, so when we have our big power plants, our big coal power plants, we still need to put something into it. The coal, or even we've switched from coal here in Alberta to the natural gas fired power plants. It still needs natural gas, right? It's still dependent on that commodity, that natural resource, for the continued life of it. Solar does not need that. You do the initial build, so it's like I'm building my combustion engine, the same as building your solar panels. But the solar panels, they don't need any additional input other than the sun, right? It is truly a technology. And getting power from a technology. See, this is a different mindset, right? It is a change in the economy. It is a change in how our society will power itself in the future. We are coming up on the end of the fossil fuel age. This is it. Solar power has become extremely cheap. It is now cheaper than most other ways to make power. And it doesn't need constant inputs. Think about, you automate a process for your business. It now runs, and you don't need an employee there all the time, right? There's no input needed. It just runs. You just got to check on it now and again, but there isn't a 24/7 human needed to run that piece of technology. It's going on its own, right? So we're at this tipping point. Yes, the fossil fuel age is on the way out. It's still going to take 25 plus years for fossil fuels to be totally gone, right? It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. So if you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to lose my job, because I work in the oil industry or in some industry reliant directly or indirectly on the fossil fuel industry, I wouldn't worry about it as much. If you are 20, 25, and you're just going into this industry, something to consider. Something to say, okay, I'm making money right now in the oil and gas industry, the petroleum industry, but within my career, it could go away. You're still going to get lots of years working in that industry because it's going to take a long time. But by the time you are hitting retirement age, if you're still in that industry, moving forward, there isn't going to be that industry anymore. So what do? I mean, if you're my age, you're approaching 50 and you work in the petroleum industry, you don't have to worry as much. You're going to work for another 10, 15 years. You're probably going to be mostly okay. There's a chance your section of the industry could disappear, but it's not going to happen overnight. And especially the young person in the industry now you're thinking, how can I make sure my career doesn't stagnate after 10, 15 years when the industry starts going down, right? Time to think about it. But nothing is going to happen overnight. There's no reason to get in a panic and freak out, right? So, yeah. So how we make energy, we're at a tipping point. It is going to move from fossil fuels to the clean energy, solar. AI is the culmination of all our computer industry. We are there. This is the tipping point, the changing point, the next chapter in our computing age. And we really need solar to power this new age. We if we don't switch over from the petroleum industry for our energy, our power creation, we're going to kill the planet, because the amount of power we need to fuel AI is just not feasible with this old technology, right? It's time for it to go, because we need to create more power than a gas-powered steam engine is going to do, right? Like it's we're beyond that now. Our power needs are just extreme now, because we all know AI needs a lot of power. It needs cooling. If we can get more power, then hopefully we wouldn't need to use up as much water, right? Like it really is power intensive, and we need to make sure we have a different source of power than this old technology we use. All right. There was a third one. Can't remember what the third one is, but there's three things that this tech historian guy was talking about. I'd shared it on YouTube, but I don't think it tells me what the industries are in the video. Right, it's a big think video. No, you be quiet. The video is called "Why the Next 25 Years Could Surpass anything in modern memory. The guy's name is Peter Linden. And basically he's saying old systems of the past are collapsing and new systems of the future are still to be born. I call this moment the Great Progression. So, and that's the 3 tipping points: artificial intelligence, clean energy technologies, and biotechnology. We are at the point where AI was implemented in analyzing our biotech, and we're able to, like, finish that biological research into our species and what biology really is. Like, we are really at this interesting tipping point. Like, he calls it the Great Progression. So imagine we know enough about our biology to cure cancer, cure heart disease, anything that ails us. We could be fixing it, preventing it better, because we understand ourselves better. And this is a really big reason for that is AI and the advancement in our tech industry, right? So interesting topic. Sorry I went off. We were talking about employee handbooks and things like that, but I think this tipping point you should keep in the back of your mind moving forward, right? So ChatGPT says, my ChatGPT bite says, for topic number 3, we should talk about the 5 most common small business HR mistakes and how to fix them before they blow up. With the clients all the time, missing expectation, no onboarding plan, undocumented issues, unclear scheduling rules, and we don't need policies yet. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So here they are. I mumbled them, but I'm going to talk about them one by one here. So, missing expectations. If you hire somebody, they need to know what their job is. They need to know what's expected of them. Have you ever been somewhere at some business, maybe your business, and there's an employee just sitting there doing nothing? They're just doing nothing. Why are they sitting there doing nothing, right? So if you think of a cashier, if they're doing nothing, obviously the big thing is there's not enough customers coming in. But were they given another expectation? If you have no customers in the store at the till at this moment, what other things could you be doing with that time? Zoning or straightening the shelves. If you're a retail clothing store, folding clothes and doing returns from the dressing rooms to the shelves, right? Maybe if you're in a mall, you walk out into the hallway with a sign that says, hey, don't forget we got a 10% off sale going on today, right? Like, if you ever went to West Edmonton Mall, International Stereo was a stereo company. They sold expensive stereo things, and they always had, how can I say this delicately? A good-looking girl standing in front of the store, in the mall hallway, out in front of the store, And they would actually talk to people, especially men, and say, hey, do you guys have a great stereo? What kind of stereo you got? You should come check out this new stereo we got in store. And they're just kind of ushering them into the store. And if you ever stood outside of that store, you're just hanging out, they would come up and ask you if you were interested in stereos. And then if you say no, they'd say something, well, could you just make sure there's room here for customers to come by? You know, like they would get you moving so you weren't standing out in front of the business. Got a text here. What? Volunteer stuff I need to make sure I'm on top of. Right, so there's these people in the stores doing these certain jobs. They seem weird. But what 20-something boy isn't going to go into the stereo store after this hot woman or whatever directs them into the store, right? It gets them into the store. So I'm not saying your business should be doing that, but you could be doing something different. Just kind of saying, hi, don't forget we got a sale on here, you know, like things like that. But the expectation has to be there. Going above and beyond is not common sense. Just like safety is not common sense. We have to be drilled and reminded that safety is important on this dangerous job site. It is constantly being pounded into the workers on a dangerous job site. Safety, safety, safety. Because what one person thinks is being safe is completely unsafe to someone who knows the safety rules, right? It's not common sense. So going above and beyond in your job is not common sense. You have to not call it above and beyond. But you got to remember, if you have a certain employee that they stop having work to do, that is their primary job, their primary role within the organization, you have to give them expectations. If that happens, you do this, 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 you help your neighbor, you whatever, right? Like, there has to be expectations. So I think we have a real generational issue. We always have generational issues. Oh, them kids, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that, right? And it is because nobody has taught them any different. Every generation is like that. When you're young, when you're in your 20s and 30s, certain things are just not common sense. So you, as the older business owner, supervisor, you need to set these expectations, right? And you just have to keep reminding them. You don't just tell them once, hey, if there's no one here, go wipe counters down. That's all they're going to do. They're going to help their customers, and then they're going to go wipe a counter down. Right? They're not going to turn into that rock star because you haven't told them how to be the rock star. Rock stars don't just appear. They don't. You have someone who's optimistic, who gets into an organization and they're like, how do I do better? How do I do better? Teach me, train me, right? I'm here, I'm a sponge. But after a while, they may stop asking because you're not giving them. They'll stop asking because you're not giving them what they need to excel in that role. We see this with extremely smart children in school, right? They don't pay attention in class. They start doing other things. I mean, because they're bored. Their mind isn't being stimulated, and you think they're just a lazy kid, but it turns out they're the genius in the room and need to be challenged big time, right? So I'm not an expert on that. Obviously, there's more experts who can help you with that sort of situation. But I'm saying when it comes to employees, you need to set expectations. If you see an employee just sitting there doing nothing, you need to make sure they have a list of things that they could also do, right? And if they get proficient at doing all those other things and they're still sitting there, you give them more expectations, right? It's an ongoing game. It's not one and done. No employee gets training one time, 1 day training, 1 hour training, 1 week training, 1 month training at the start of their career, and that's it. That's not the way it works, right? We've got changing technologies, we've got changing economies, changing industries. Everything is changing. Everything is fluid. So you've got to keep adapting to that and making sure the expectations stay. What else? No onboarding plan. Okay, this rolls right into it. The expectations, right? Expectations are something that you kind of do on and on. But the onboarding plan, there's so many organizations where new employees don't understand why they do certain things. So a good onboarding plan will teach the employee where their place is in the organization. You will be doing this because that person in front of you is doing this, and that person behind you needs your changes, your input, right? If it's a process, this person does something, the new employee is doing this, the next person is doing that. Think of a factory line or whatever, but it could be anything, paperwork, writing, like whatever it is. There's a process and a system, and new employees need to understand that system so they understand how really important their work is. I'm just a cog in the machine. My work isn't important. If I don't do it right, I'll just get replaced like a drop in water, right? Like well, that was because of a bad onboarding process. You have this apathy and I don't care about my job. It's if you hired someone on and within a few months they're already taking time off for an interview at a different organization, you did something wrong. And if you think you did nothing wrong, you need to talk to that person and ask if you did something wrong. Because there's always a slight chance that you did something right. And by teaching this person and training this person and onboarding this person correctly, they discover that that's not the place they want to be. That is a nice dodged bullet. If you are just training someone just by these little increments, you'll do this, and starting next week you'll start this extra thing, and if this goes on for months or years, the person never fully understands what the job is, and that's a red flag on your part. It's like you don't trust this person, and you're scared if you teach the entire role all at once, they'll get overwhelmed or something like that, right? You need to let them know what their job is supposed to be so that they have the ability to either start excelling at it or decide it's not for them and they leave early. That's a terrible place to be. You just spent months, even years training somebody and they leave. You don't want to keep going through this hiring process. What are you doing that's making people leave? As long as they're being paid well, right? They shouldn't leave. So onboarding is not just an hour. It's not 5 minutes. It's like a couple days to a couple weeks long. And you are trying to make sure that this person understands fully what the role is. And if they're not down for that, you want them to leave the organization as soon as possible. Right? So don't think by not properly training someone that they're going to stay longer because they don't understand what the job is and they won't get scared away. You want to scare them away. My God. You want to overload them so much. I mean, not maliciously, but you need to make sure they understand their role, how important it is, the stuff they'll be doing. Even if you say, eventually you'll be doing all this, but we're going to ease you into it so you can learn each thing, right? That's fine. But they know the total menu, the total show. They know exactly all the stuff they're going to need to learn, right? So, no onboarding plan. You gotta have an onboarding plan. Undocumented issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so this is number 3. Undocumented issues. As an HR person, what I hate hearing and being involved in is a supervisor or manager comes to me and says, Dave is a terrible employee. I can't stand him anymore. He was a terrible hire. We need to fire him today. And as an HR professional, if this is the first time I've heard anything about Dave being a bad employee, there's nothing we can do. Because you didn't document the issues when they happened. I remember I worked for the federal government and my employee reviews were always satisfactory. Nothing too fancy, nothing negative. They tried to write a few points in where I could improve or whatever, but there wasn't any Ian is severely sufficient in this area and needs to really double down on it. Or like there was nothing that extreme. There was just, he could use improvement here, use improvement there. And it wasn't documented as something extreme. But then by the time I quit, I was on a performance improvement plan and they were basically working towards firing me, right? Because they didn't give me a proper heads up on anything. There was the issues weren't being properly documented. And when you have an organization where documentation happens once a year, performance evaluations yearly are useless. At least twice a year, at least every 6 months. But if you could do it quarterly, that's more of the gold standard. And if you could have something that's really fast and easy, that's monthly, oh my God, that's even better. Because you don't get the bias, right? Last week, Ian really messed up on this, so I want to fire him. But then I don't remember that 2 weeks ago, he was the star of the organization. and did some amazing things and just made our year, right? So they can be biased to the most recent stuff. So you can do it more often. So you can see the pattern. But that's a great way to document issues, right? Like, Ian is not performing good. And then you see like, oh, he's the same, or he's gotten a little worse in this area or whatever. But you can see this pattern of me getting bad over 6 months or a year, right? As opposed to just review time or whatever, just once a year, right? We don't see what was happening. But you got to document the issues. If there's an employee who's having issues, the supervisor or manager needs to immediately address that with that person and say, look, we got to correct what you're doing here. We need improvement. And they need to say, what training do you need from us to help you improve in this position? This is stuff we think you need, but is there anything else that you think you need, right? Documenting an issue is an opportunity to do more training. So the first time you see an issue with an employee, you could correct all future issues with that employee. If you let it go, you don't help them or whatever, and it's not documented anywhere. So like the 10th time this thing happened with this supervisor or manager coming in, this person, I need to get rid of them. They're a pain in the butt. There's nothing I can do as HR. I turn around and say, okay, well, we can start documenting this. And, they get upset. They're always like, no, we need to get rid of them now. I've got no proof to get rid of this person. And if we get rid of this person right now, it becomes our fault. It becomes the organization's fault. Right? So, no. There's always going to be, in certain organizations, there's certain things where immediate dismissal is warranted. Accident on the job site or something like that. Something that's pretty extreme. Like there is places for that. But just someone who's not doing their job right and they keep messing something up. Okay, what are you doing to train this person? What are you doing? Okay, Dave messed up on this today and I'm going to help him with training for the next week so we can prevent it from happening yet again, right? That has to be documented. A month later, Dave is still having trouble with the same issue as last time. I've given him some extra training and I've sent him to someone else to also train him a different way, right? We're trying to help Dave. It's been documented. And then, after so many of it, it's like, we've tried to train Dave 3 times on this, and he's not getting it. So I'm going to officially make this a written warning for Dave, a first warning. If he doesn't improve, then we'll have to let him go, right? It gets documented. It is shown this. If Dave has to go, we've done a couple things. We've documented it, so we can let Dave go. But as long, your process should show how you've tried to improve Dave, how you've tried to train Dave to get them better. It can't be just did it wrong, fired, right? It is did it wrong, did training, did it wrong, did training, did it wrong, did more training, first warning, right? Like there needs to be some real proof that you as the supervisor or the owner or the manager, whatever, the organization has tried to train or improve this employee in earnest, right? Like you're you're really trying. The idea is that when you're finally saying to Dave, this isn't working out, we're going to have to let you go. Dave is going to be able to say, yes, you're right. Even though with all the additional training you gave me, I'm still not getting it. So I totally understand getting fired now. And when Dave goes to a new organization, he's going to say, I just couldn't get that job. I wasn't very good at it. But they were very good at training me. So I think a new employee would be really good in that organization because there's great training and support, right? The honest truth is we don't always have the ability to become good at the job we're doing. That's the honest truth. We can try, we can get training, but if you don't have that additional training, you may never get good at that role. If there wasn't any additional training, that's the fault of the organization. If you did all their training and it was lots of training, then it's your fault. Right? So undocumented issues, they need to be there. With how we corrected it. How did we train? How did we give additional training? Whatever, right? It could be just, oh my God, Dave, no, you keep missing this button. This will make it right. So make sure you always hit that button. It could be that quick. Or it could be, Dave, for the next week, I want you to sit down with the senior member of the team and they'll help walk you through these situations where you're having issues, right? It could be that. There's just all kinds of options in there. It is easier to try to train that person than it is to fire them and have to go rehire and retrain someone from nothing. Right? That is adding extra work for your HR department to go through this process again for a process they just did within like a month or two ago, right? Every time you do that, it amplifies the workload of other employees. So it's vital that you try to train. The training, on-the-job training is always going to be a cheaper, quicker option. And I really want to stress a cheaper option, especially if a little extra training makes that person into a good employee or eventually a rock star. Some people just need to be trained a different way. Right? Not everyone's going to respond to the same type of training. Unclear scheduling rules. So we think about trying to get our staff to work, schedule, shifts, whatever, right? And you might have some bias run in. The supervisor or the manager likes a certain employee a little bit more, so they always give them the better shift on Saturday morning when it's not quiet, or when it's quiet or whatever, right? There needs to be the rules, because if you have any sort of bias and one person is always getting the same good shift, right? And I saw this with my own business. I was trying to schedule night shift, day shift stuff with my first business. And basically the night shift people went crazy. And the day shift people felt they weren't making enough money or something, right? So you think about that and how everything's got to be fair. Everybody's got to do day shift or night shift. Or anyone who does night shift, all night shift needs to get better pay or get a better bonus or something like that, right? Who's in here? Oh, Spammer. Best views on streamboo.com on the Twitch. Thank you, Twitch Spammer. That's always great. But you got to have some rules. And I think the first thing is how you hire someone. You need to be completely clear upfront when you hire someone. And if you go into some sort of negotiation and change that basic rule, so your general rule is everybody who gets hired all have to do these shifts and it's in rotation and whatever, that's fine. But if you end up breaking that rule for one person, maybe they work a full-time job so they can't always get a certain shift on days and things like that. You make sure you hired them as part-time, right? Like this is a very part-time role, and essentially they don't get put in the main rotation. They're just fillers. Because the employees that work for you full-time, they deserve the right to get scheduled first. Whether it's a morning shift, afternoon shift, or evening shift, or night shift, or whatever, your full-timers should get put in first. And your part-timers absolutely shouldn't be getting as much say in where they work, what shifts they work in, but that's how you hire some part-timers. Wendy can only do Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sunday mornings because she has a full-time job and needs to be can't work late on Sunday night, right? So it's some organizations don't even like to accommodate things like that, and they're just like, nope, everybody goes like this, and everybody, they're trying to make the scheduling equal for everyone by basically saying everybody works every shift possible, and that doesn't always work for people, right? So I honestly think if you hire somebody and they have restrictions on when they can work, then I would start them at a lower pay. If someone has absolutely no restrictions on when they can work, I would start them at a higher pay. Because I want to keep them happy because they're willing to play ball and do what we need to get done. Right? So, but just come up with some rules and try to stick to them as much as possible. And they may change. They may change over time because that's how the economy works. Things change. There's a myth out there that we don't need policies yet. There has to be some sort of policy. It does not have to be big and detailed, but just like the unclear scheduling rules, there should be some scheduling rules, whether exact or detailed or what, but there needs to be something so everybody understands that particular situation, right? You need to create policies for the onboarding process so that new employees can see the process of how they onboard. You need policies to cover the missing expectations. The policy is if you run out of work to do in this role, then you do one of these other things, right? They don't have to be extremely detailed. They can be very general. but you have to have some sort of start to the policies. And if you're using ChatGPT, please give me 1 paragraph policy on our dress code, right? And then you go back and you talk to your employees. Is this a good policy for everybody, right? Then you approve it. But there needs to be something, because there's always going to be someone who tries to break the rules and get away with it, even though there's no rules. Other people become rule sticklers, right? Like, they want everything exactly the way the policy says. And if there's no policy, they'll go out and they'll spend 10 hours researching what other organizations do and what the government expects to be done, right? So you don't want somebody like that either. You don't want either one on either side of that scale. You don't want everybody researching and analyzing your rules and complaining about it, and you don't want people that are just trying to scam the rules, right? There has to be a happy middle. And I think any organization that is about to hire their first employee should create some sort of basic policies. And you can have ChatGPT help you. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm this type of business. You know all about my business. I already put in all this info about me and my business. I'm trying to hire my first employee. What policies do you recommend I have in place before I hire this employee? Right? Then he'll say, oh, you should have these five policies in place. And then you can quickly say, oh, can you create me a policy for each one of those based on my industry? And I live here in Edmonton, Alberta, right? Like, doesn't have to be hard. Take a few hours, but you need to have some sort of policy. If you're in an organization where they say, oh, we don't need policies on that, we just kind of go with the flow. I mean, man, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That is breeding ground for a-holes and scammers, you know, like there's no policy on this? Okay, well, I'll just slack off because I'm not going to get in trouble because there's no policy on this. Right? So there has to be some sort of policy. Now, what I'm saying is there doesn't have to be a 50-page employee handbook. If you're hiring your first employee, I don't know, 3 to 5 pages on the basic stuff that you're worried about right now. And then when you go to hire your second employee, talk to your first employee and say, was this sufficient? Is there anything we should add or remove or alter? I mean, use that employee's brain, man. You're paying to have the body there. Their brain is there too. Use it. You're a fool if you're not asking your employees to use their brains to help you in the organization. It's like being your own lawyer. Right? Let's go to topic number 4. I gotta... Micro-toxicity. The small behaviors that slowly wreck culture. And these are just tiny little things, right? And it is so important to call out these things. Ooh. You know, these are tiny patterns. They make big future problems. And you need to stop them as early as possible. So, how employees treat each other, how they employ the customers or the clients, how they react to you, right? When you're giving direction or something like that, you need to make sure you address these issues in the moment, at the time. It is hard. It is hard to notice, or when you're in that moment, you don't realize what exactly is going on. You're just like, what was that reaction? And you're just like, okay, just carry on. But the interaction needs to be acknowledged, and you need to get good at it. As a supervisor or manager, you need to get good at identifying these micro-toxicity situations. So, what do you got? Eye rolling. Oh, okay, fine. Or, oh no, that customer's coming in again. Or, oh God, you're asking me that question, right? Like this eye rolling sort of stuff. Employees should be happy to help clients, and they should be happy to get feedback from you. So are you doing it wrong? You need to address that. You need to ask them, hey, why did you eye roll just there? Did I say it wrong? Are you upset with me? Is there something going on that I should know about with you? Or maybe their family life is just completely gone into the toilet, right? I don't know. But they eye roll. Silence in meetings. Unengaged employees will not say anything at meetings, even when poked. Okay, we're going to go around the room. Everybody give us your input on this. Wendy, I don't know. Dave, looks good. Harold. Whatever, right? Like, someone who cares about your organization, cares about their job, is happy about being there in your organization, they're going to say stuff at meetings. Positive stuff. You're going to have some super angry people in your organization too. Hopefully you can get rid of them. But they may be speaking also. So, not silence, but straight out negative comments. Right? I worked all day, and then the night shift came in and messed everything up, and I demand they all get fired. But you need to create an environment where employees are not scared to share. You need to let them know that their feedback is always important, and it's needed all the time. Like some organizations, you just ain't gonna say nothing about nothing, because you're just like, every time you say something, it gets shut down, or you get ridiculed, or you get accused of wasting work time, or whatever, right? When people are silent in meetings, it means they've been trained to shut up and put up, right? Your supervisors, your managers, you as the owner have created an environment where it's not safe to share. So yeah, silence in meetings. Inconsistent boundaries. We think about sayings like, oh, we're a family. Okay. That means something to everybody. It means, on one hand, it means I'm allowed to be informal, make comments about anything and everything. And that could get them in trouble. And on the other hand, it might mean shut up, put up, because my parents used to yell at me and tell me just to be, the old adage, children are meant to be seen, not heard, right? Like, we all had different family experiences. So I would say an organization that says we're like family is a red flag. Especially if they say, oh, I know other organizations say they're family, but we really are family. That's like a double, triple red flag, right? If the organization can fire you anytime, they're not family. Because I can't be fired from my family, can I? My family has to put up with me. Or I have to put up with them. We can't fire our families. We can stop talking to them and reduce communication, stuff like that. Absolutely. But you're still going to be related to them. You're still going to be part of that group, whether you be part of it or not, right? But they try to say it's like family. Well, families have issues, man. We have a lot of issues in a lot of our different families. So, that's an inconsistent boundary. You say we're family, but then you treat me like an employee. Those don't jive, man. Those aren't the same thing. If you end up with a bunch of silence in your meetings, and in the meetings you're saying everyone needs to give us our feedback, but in regular practice, you're not allowed to go to your supervisor and make a recommendation or give feedback or anything like that. It's just like, let us worry about that. You just go back and do your job, right? Okay. But we were family. I thought I was allowed to talk about anything and bring up any ideas. No, just get back to work. Right? So, family's completely red flag. Just joking comments. I mean, this is an opening, a tester, a feeler to see if people like the just joking. It's used for people who are trying to see if other people are biased like they are, or racist like they are, misogynistic like they are. Haha, that's really funny, Wendy, but you should go back to the kitchen. Ha, just kidding. I mean, that is a highly misogynistic comment. But they're saying, oh, just kidding? Oh, that's a terrible comment. When you joke about stuff like that, and it's hard. Okay, well, Dave's wife is always in the kitchen and she doesn't work her job, so he's got this attitude that women should be in the kitchen. And I think these attitudes are changing a little bit with the younger generations, but there's still a lot of this toxicity with the boomers and me, the Gen Xers, with that sort of thing, right? Racist comments can be covered up like that. Oh, just kidding. And it's extremely hurtful. Just joking? Oh, no. Just joking comment like that cuts deep, man. And a red flag. Red flag for the organization if that person is not reprimanded for that comment. And it's a red flag for that person who made the comment, right? You need to correct them and say, we're going to have to let you go if you don't stop making these racist comments. But I was just joking. That's not good. You can't fire me from the family and keep my wife. That's some BS right there. That's my big sister Joy making a joke about firing me from the family. Anyway, chronic lateness. So it's all about, there is usually something else going on with chronic lateness. I'm chronically late for this show because I might be a little bit nervous, and I gotta kind of coax myself to get going with a live show like this where I'm putting myself out, and I'm already feeling the trolls on places like TikTok. For me right now, TikTok is toxic. I get so many comments, negative, uninformed comments on my TikToks, and it's just like hurting my soul right now, right? So there might be that chronic issue of me not wanting to do it, but I have been doing it now for, I think we're starting week 16 where I've been going live almost every day, right? I was chronically late to just about every job I've ever had. I'll arrive just on time or a little bit late. Oh my God, the family business. I was supposed to open at 10 and I would arrive at 10 after, 15 after, and there'd already be a customer sitting out waiting for me to show up. They knew I was going to show up. They knew I always showed up, but I was late lots of times. At least I was there. I could help them with their bags of laundry into the laundromat, right? But yeah, chronic lateness is a thing, but it might not be what you... I sit here and stare at the person, and when they make rude, bad jokes, makes them uncomfortable. Yeah, good job. You need to physically call them out, not just stare at them. People's bad behavior really needs to be addressed in the moment, because a lot of people don't understand that their behavior is bad. Just joking. Manners, anti-racism, being good people to your fellow man. These really sometimes feel like a learned skill. I mean, somewhere along the line, you learn to be misogynistic. Somewhere along the line, you learn to be racist, right? That's what you ended up learning. So we got to kind of treat it as, we also have to treat you not to be misogynistic. We have to treat you not to be a racist, right? And it's hard. It's hard. Standing up to people in the moment, it's hard. Well, we'll go back to chronic lateness. There could be 10,000 things going on. They're taking the bus, and the bus schedule is never perfect, so they're always late. They have to drop their kids off at daycare or school or something, and the distance from home to school to work is just a little bit far. So they're always going to be 5 minutes late, no matter what they do, no matter how fast they try to drive, the lights, whatever, they're always going to be late. So you should be accommodating this stuff. I hate the organizations where you're like, you got to be here on time every time or else you're going to get fired. Well, let's change your start time. Instead of 8 o'clock every day, let's make your start time 8:15. So you don't have to rush. You can drop your kids off and get here on time. Help them accommodate. they could end up being your best employee, or they're your best employee other than they're chronically late. Right? Like, think about these things. Now, if you try to accommodate someone and they continue being late, that means they just adjusted their chronic lateness to the new rule. That could be something more. That's a not satisfied with their job situation. And, working at the family business, I wasn't satisfied there. And actually was quite sad and depressed during that time of my life. So, chronically late. Yes, that's how it manifested. So, if they don't want to be at the job, they're going to be chronically late, and they're going to try to get out early too, right? So what's going on? Are they not properly trained? Are they not properly challenged in their role? Have you walked up to them and said, do you want to move to a different position in the company? We could start cross-training you into something that you're more excited about or that you want to learn, right? Like, it's like that genius kid in class who you look at and think it's just a slacker, but they're just bored out of their skull, right? Same thing. Your employee, they've been doing this job, they absolutely hate this job, but it's good money, it pays the bills, and they don't want to look for another job or whatever, but they're chronically late. So instead of saying, we're going to fire you, how about you say, we could get you training on a different role and get you excited about the job again, right? We notice you're being late all the time. Do you still want to work for us? I mean, if someone's chronically late or tries to leave early or takes extra long lunches and things like that, there's something going on. Be direct about it. And if they say, yeah, I kind of don't like working here and I'd like to work somewhere else, or I've started applying for other jobs or whatever, right? Like, it could be. There's no sense in being upset about it. How about you just help them on their exit? Okay, that's fine. Can we adjust your schedule to make it better for you before you leave? Do you need any sort of reference from me so that you can move on in your career and your life, right? Why do we gotta be, oh, you don't like it here? Well, you might as well just quit and we might fire you anyway if you're late again. There's options, man. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be that organization that is uncaring. If people don't want to work for you, it's good that you've identified it. Because you could ask for feedback. Why don't you want to work for us? Be very candid. Right? Like, don't. If you hate an organization because you can't give feedback, it's going to be very hard for the organization to get feedback as someone's exiting the company. If I'm angry and I'm upset, there's no way, shape, in hell that I'm going to do an exit interview for you. You should know why I quit. You should know why I'm angry. Right? Angry employees never going to give you a proper exit review. That's why you need to address it first, man. Anyway, if you can identify some of these micro-toxicity situations before they turn into a big issue, this is going to go a long way. So it's a skill a manager, supervisor, and owner needs to get and kind of understand your people understand their emotions, understand their reactions, their non-reactions, right? You really have to start becoming a student of people. And that's where HR can help you do that, because we're basically, remember, you got to do this. You got to train your people. You got to talk to them. You got to address issues now in the moment. Yeah. So there. Yeah. So no more questions. I'm shutting down this question. Don't make any comments now. If you liked that, please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you need to get a hold of me, remember my main link. This is my link tree. It's got all the important stuff there. You can buy my $7 ebook that'll help you stop staff drama in 5 days. It's pretty simple, pretty easy stuff. It's a good start to you changing your organization if you're having issues. And if you think you have bigger problems, in here too, we can book a meeting and we can discuss what your organizational issues might be. And we can see if you actually need me, or if we can come up with just some quick tips for you. Who knows? I think that's it for today. I'm gonna let you go. I hope everyone has a good Monday. I'll see you tomorrow. No, I will not see you tomorrow. This week, I will not be going live tomorrow, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Wait, let me look at my calendar. Totally confused. So, Tuesday the 9th, I will be not going live. That's tomorrow. And Thursday the 11th, I will not be going live. So, Thursday. That's because I'm starting to do my own training and starting to do facilitation. I picked up a contract from TP Legacy HR Plus, and I'm facilitating HR courses for their clients, and that's awesome. So I'm doing a bit of training on the 9th, and then on the 11th, I will be doing my first facilitation. These are full day, 8-hour events, so that's awesome. So I'll be missing on days I'm doing big training like that. I will not be going live. So, and I think I tried to update that on the page about my lives. I think I did. I'll have to double check right now. But yeah, so I will be going live Wednesday and Friday this week. After this, only Wednesday and Friday. So don't get upset, Joy. You won't be able to listen to me tomorrow or Thursday. All right. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Everybody have a great day.